What's up, my friends? I'm super excited to be here. I'm here with Jared McDonald, the metabolism expert, super passionate about natural peptides. As of you guys, you're on your journey with natural peptides and uh, starting to experience losing weight, feeling more energy, gaining more muscle. But sometimes that doesn't happen right off the bat. You might be experiencing nausea or you might gain weight the first week. And that's what this discussion is about today with Jared. We're just going to kind of address some of these questions. I wanted to do this because I was sitting to lunch with Jared and I had some questions and I asked him and he explained some things to me that I just didn't know how to explain very well myself. I was learning them. So I was like, man, some of my clients experience this, and maybe you've experienced some of these or have clients in the future that experience this. So or some of these things. So we just kind of wanted to go through and talk about some of those things. So, Jared, I'll just
Yeah.
start off letting you just kind of. My question is, you were kind of talking about what happens when your body goes through a big change, like you start to detox or lose weight and detox, and what happens when you go through a big change of nutrition or adding peptides that are changing things in your body? What's kind of that process look like?
Yeah. So it's such a funny conversation too. Like when you change your diet, people automatically assume you should feel better. And that generally is the case. I think most people start to eat healthier, they feel better. But if you make like a pretty dramatic change, even with your food, sometimes you feel worse before you feel better. Like that, and that's not always like, don't every person be like, oh my gosh, I don't want to change my food because I don't want to feel worse. Like we'll talk a little bit about like why this happens, why it's a good thing when you experience some of that. But like your body has this like transitory process that happens when you start to lose fat, when you start to eat healthier. And the same thing happens oftentimes with these peptides that we're learning, especially when you start burning fat. And there's lots of reasons why, but oftentimes you can feel a bit worse just in the beginning of that as your body goes through this kind of transition process. And there's several reasons, but one of the major reasons is detox is a real thing. People don't know this, but fat cells, I actually teach people one of the primary purposes of a fat cell is to keep you alive from in two ways. One is to store energy so you can keep alive, and two is to keep your organs safe from toxins. So especially for women who, reproductive organs are very important to keep that baby safe, their body's going to store more fat with when there's toxins present to keep those reproductive organs safe, right? Because women have that unique role. And so the fat cells contain toxins. So when you start to use fat cells as energy and you open this up and your body starts dumping toxins into your body, you don't always feel better. You actually sometimes feel worse. And then there's also just the idea of like dumping like cholesterol and fat into the system where your body has to keep up with that with your liver and stuff. So we can talk more about some of that stuff and how to explain that, but that's kind of why is your body has to transition, your hormones have to catch up, your like everything has to be able to function the right way. And so if things are kind of backed up for people, which most of the time it is, and we have these toxins and things getting released, then you don't always feel better as far as that goes. So, and it looks different too. Like people are like, well, how should I feel? Like some people get a lot of, I've seen people, even with the peptides or on my program, people get like digestive issues, right? They'll feel really bloated or they'll be like, oh man, my stomach hurts. Some people get like a headache when they detox. Some people get, nauseous if it's really bad where people are starting to detox a lot. I haven't seen like a ton of people get like overly nauseous to where they're throwing up on these peptides or anything like that. But I have seen some people as they get healthier, like they get so nauseous that it makes them vomit, which that's more the rare case, but that's pretty common stuff. Like that can or the more common things that would happen is like headache, bloating, digestive issues that you kind of see when we talk about not feeling well, what that would actually look like.
Okay,
So that's
that's
kind of like the general gist.
and I've worked with health and wellness a long time and never even really thought about that. I'm just like, oh, you eat better and you exercise, you're going to feel better. But a lot of times it's not the case. And it kind
Sure.
of explains you explaining that how maybe I could have helped my clients better where could have lost someone early on. Because I've had people that ordered, workouts from me or meal plans and then they disappear. And like, as you were saying that, I was like, man, they probably felt really bad, like changed, maybe did exactly what they thought in the first couple of days. We're going through some sort of detox. And then obviously you're sore the first time you work out.
Sure.
Maybe there's
Yeah, that's another thing
I'm not
too.
here for this and I could have done better. So the purpose of this conversation is really just help you that's watching this understand how to better help people get results and understand what's happening in their body as they improve their nutrition, exercise more and include obviously these peptides in there.
Yeah.
So I have a question. Like, let's say someone starts lean, for example, and
Yeah.
they're like a week in and they've gained 3 or 4 pounds. Like, what's happening? Because
Yeah.
I have people that are like, man, I've lost a couple of my belt's already one notch down, and then I've lost 5 pounds. And I have people are like, man, I gained 4 pounds. This is not working for me. And then there's a comparison thing. They're like, man, it worked for them, but not
Right.
for me. And then that can include things in their mindset start happening. Like what's happening on the scientific most likely level when if they're gaining weight perhaps at the beginning.
Yeah, and I think the distinction you said is like taking lean. Lean is the one that's going to cause this the most. Like fit, and we'll talk about this later. Like what can they do if they are experiencing this? But like fit, it could cause any of them could cause digestive issues or something, for any person just if their body's responding to it that way. But lean is the one that most likely is going to cause the dumping of fat and cholesterol and those types of things through the liver and gallbladder and all that stuff. And so what happens is and I've had a few people this way too, who are like, I'm up 3 pounds, I'm gaining weight, what's going on? And blah, blah, blah. And I feel a lot of them are like, I feel pretty good, but I'm gaining weight, or just my stomach's a little bloated, but I have better energy. Like, so some of it is like, I actually find out just a little bit of what's happening for people. Like, well, tell me, like, what do you mean you've gained weight? Like, how do you feel? Have you noticed any other changes, good or bad? Like, just a little bit about that. But most likely what's happening is, it could be a couple of things, but if they can't digest protein very well. Like that's a common thing for people in the United States to have poor digestion. And so a lot of times you can't digest protein, you can't digest peptides very well because they're derivatives of protein. So it can cause an inflammatory response for someone. And that could happen. And that inflammation is what causes water retention and fluid. And that's where people get bloated and they feel puffy or inflamed, right? That's all water and fluid. And so you're going to go up on the scale. Same thing happens when you work your legs out really hard. The next day you're up on the scale because your legs are inflamed, right? That's a very normal recovery process. But if you're reacting poorly to a food or a supplement you're taking, sometimes it can cause that. Or if it's just like too fast, too much, too fast. Like if your body starts dumping stuff through your liver and it can't keep up, you get that detox die-off response, then your body will become inflamed because of it. And so you'll actually gain weight. And I also will teach people like you're not gaining fat. Like it's impossible to gain 3 pounds of fat in a day. Like that's just not how it humanly works, right? Like, but over the course of a few days, sure, you could. But if you're like, I started taking them and over the course of like a day or two, like I gained 3 pounds, it's most likely that your body's inflamed because of what's happening. And the most common thing would be is because it's too much too fast, right? And so you can't keep up with the detox, your body gets inflamed, and that's where the weight gain comes from. And especially if it's coupled with like, oh, I'm super bloated, then it's like, well, for sure, if you're bloated and you gain weight, like that's inflammatory, like your digestive system is inflamed. And so that's the most common, I think, reaction that could happen. And there's always going to be the rare case someone's allergic to something in it. That's like really rare though, right? Like if you know you're allergic to, citric acid or you're allergic to whatever is in supplements, like most people know those things. And so um, that's the more rare case, but I've seen it with other supplements, but
Yeah.
it's mainly just that like your body can't keep up with it. It's too fast, too much,
Okay.
at that moment.
So you say too fast, too much. So what would you suggest to one of your clients if that's happening? And let's say because the box says take 2 lean capsules. It comes with 60
Yep.
capsules, 30 days. What do you tell them to do if that's happening? What's advice
Yeah.
do you give?
Yeah. So there's a couple of things you can do. Like one of the things that Alan Jones, the vice president of whatever his title is, development and whatever else. He talked about just backing off of it, right? Like I just say, instead of taking two in a day, take one. It's just too much too fast. So instead of taking two, take one. That'll slow that down. The other alternative is to go off of them for a few days and let the body settle and then just bring one capsule in, right? So that would do it. Like if someone's willing to like I have clients who are like, I want to stay on it. I'm like, okay, then just decrease one and like keep on it. But if someone's like, man, I don't feel very good, blah, 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 like whatever, then I just be like, cool, just stop lean for a few days, let things settle, and then bring one back in, not two capsules, just one capsule, and do that for like a week. Do it for a while, and then bring two in, right? Because this isn't a race. This is a long-term, people are like, I want to lose weight. It's like, well, you don't want to lose weight if you're going to feel like crap and it's going to backfire on you in the end because you're feeling sick. So that would be the other alternative. And then the other alternative, if like this would be the ideal that I've had to do with some clients too, even without the peptides, is you get them eating healthier or improving their function of their body and then focus on the fat loss. So the way that you would do that with these peptides is you'd say, well, let's not take lean, just take fit for a while. Take fit for a couple of weeks. It'll help reduce inflammation. It'll help improve some of the processes in the body. And even if they can start to eat a little better with that, then after 2 or 3 weeks, the liver might be kind of improved a bit that way, and they can handle the detox a bit. So if you get someone who's like, wow, like this is like I don't feel great on these. Cool. Start with fit for like 3 weeks and then bring lean in one at a time for like a week or so and then up it, and just kind of go that route. And if somebody keeps trying to bring it in like two and then you back off to one and they bring one in, it's still too much, then I'd be like, just go off of it and go on fit for like 3 or 4 weeks and clean up your diet a bit and then go on lean. So there's different ways you could do it. Not everybody's gonna know how to navigate that. I mean, this is peptides are all kind of new for all of us. So
Yeah.
we're all kind of navigating this, but that's kind of my approach. And I've seen a few people, some of my personal clients, I've had to back them off of it and just be like, hey, let's just go down to one. Let's go off of it for a few days and then bring one in. You just want to slow the response down somehow. And then I would say if they do have a continued response, once you bring it back in, even with one, then I'd say, okay, cut it out and let's just stay on fit for like 3 or 4 weeks. Change up your diet a bit, clean up the body a bit, and then bring lean back in.
Yeah. I don't share it often. I did during the process when I went through it, but I had some really bad problems with liver that came from a medication that I took for a while. And I had liver issues for a long time. And like I didn't eat the cleanest. Like clean eating for me was like not eating, like I cut out the candies and the sugary drinks, but I would still eat like tons of white bread, like peanut butter, like
Sure.
loaded with peanut butter. Like that was clean eating for me, but no veggies, just like, and then I
Yeah.
do my protein and steak. So I ate high levels of protein with no veggies, no fruit, lots of high, I switched to eating more clean for it was that step. And I went basically vegetarian and my body had a hard time transitioning and doing that. And from the outside, if you didn't know anything about health and fitness, you'd be like, "This sucks. Like I'm not supposed to be going to
Yeah.
the bathroom like this, like 5 or 6 times a day." But my body was really struggling with that transition. So,
Yeah.
anytime you're changing that, your nutrition or there's things that you go through.
Yeah. And I think on that note too, Scotty, like for those of us who are affiliates trying to help our customers, we're not going to know if they're having these issues, right? Like unless they come and ask, "Hey, is this normal?" Then that's easy. But like a note on like how do we help people? Like I think it's a good idea to potentially follow up with people who are ordering from you. One, that could create more opportunity in the future to sell to friends and family and help them become an affiliate, etc. But like a week or two into it, like how's it going? Because as we were talking at lunch, we were with another guy who they were like, I'm not, someone had mentioned this to them and they're like, I'm going to go off of it. It's like, well, hold on. Like, just because you have this experience initially doesn't mean you'll have that going forward if we just make some adjustments. Like, just try taking one out, try taking it out for a while and bring it back in. And then you actually might get them to stay on the product, right? You might get them to stay on the supplement and keep them as a customer if you can help them through that. Rather than like you just said, like people who don't realize I feel worse and I'm supposed to be feeling better. It's like, well, stick with it and you'll see the results happen if you just sometimes just make a few of those adjustments. So I think following up with people is a good idea with that way. So you can have these kinds of conversations if needed. And of course, if you have tons of customers, it's hard to follow with everybody, but I think having some sort of system where you a couple of weeks in send an email or a text or something to people, it's not a bad idea for that reason, just to keep people on board with you.
Definitely. I had a conversation doing a follow-up with one of my guys and day 6, he's like, I feel like an absolute, he's using fit, lean. He just ordered hydrated and focused today, but he's using fit and lean. And he's like, dude, I feel like an absolute beast in the gym. I'm working, he's like, I was 2 hours in the gym and my brother came in. He's like, you're still here? And I'm like, he had so much energy and he was lifting. But then he expressed his struggle to me was like, man, but usually I have energy throughout the whole day, and I'm like midday, I'm like I'm so tired, and it just from that follow up and having like how are you feeling, following up, the conversation with him came to the point of like, we realized that he was lifting heavier and working out 2 times as much as before, but didn't change anything about how much he was eating. So he was
Or,
tired.
or drinking with the hydrated. That's going to be
Yeah.
a big deal.
So not having enough hydration and not even enough calories for,
Right.
it's a rare case of someone going hard, hard, hard in the
Sure.
gym, not your average person, but he's just, running out of energy because he was putting out so much, burning so
Yeah,
much calories working out hard without adding good
totally.
calories to fuel that. So that's just the
Yep.
importance. I share that just the importance of following up with someone and seeing what their experience is and helping them.
Yeah.
He could have been like, man, I feel like a beast, but I don't have enough energy to make it through the day. This isn't,
Right.
it would have been very easy to disappear like that. But now,
Totally.
6 days after that, he's like, dude, I feel so awesome. And then he started eating more. Now he ordered focused and energized
Yep.
because of that follow up.
Yeah, and on that note, I think that's another good thing. Like that's an opportunity for us to upsell more products, if you will, but really to help people understand how to take care of themselves. Like if someone's not on hydrated and they're losing fat, they're not going to feel as good. They're going to they might actually become dehydrated because fat takes hydration in order for you to metabolize fat cells. Like the first step in metabolizing fat is hydrolysis. It takes water and minerals. And so if you don't have that, which is why Make Wellness put hydrated in the muscle metabolic combo, not just to help the blood flow and the peptides work, but it also helps improve fat metabolism. So if somebody doesn't have that, they become dehydrated very, very quickly. That's one of the first things I have my personal clients buy is electrolytes. And I have for day one since I started my business 7 years ago, because you're going to feel like crap if you're losing weight and not hydrating properly or fueling properly. If you're working out hard and losing fat, you need to fuel your body. It's not always a less is more type of thing with fat loss too. But like an easy fix for that is hey, we should probably get you unhydrated if you're not. Like, how much are you drinking water wise? How much electrolytes are you taking? Because you probably need to either up your water or up your electrolytes or get on electrolytes because that's going to help that detox. That's going to help you feel a bit better because dehydration will come in the form of cravings, low energy, brain fog, all kinds of stuff. So people will like, I don't feel very good. Well, are you hydrating? That's like my first question for almost all the time is for cravings, poor sleep, brain fog, headaches, low energy. I'm like, are you drinking electrolytes with enough water? And sometimes it's not more water. Sometimes it's less water, more electrolytes, or a balance between the two. But I think that's a valid point that when somebody that I didn't talk about, yeah, if somebody's like, I don't feel super great on lean, okay, cool, we can back off lean, but like you probably need to be unhydrated if you're not, for sure, because it's going to help that process. And then with that, you could back down, of course, too. But that's again, power of follow up is you have the ability to sell that to people and help them understand that and keep them as a customer. Otherwise, if you didn't know those, you'd lose them.
Yeah,
So
I love that.
yeah.
Is there any final things you want to share with that can come to the top of your mind
Um,
about what people might
I
be
think
experiencing?
yeah, like if people are not feeling good, like on that conversation, like obviously fit could help them feel good. Guiding people on like just kind of cleaning up your diet. Like you mentioned, like if you're eating adequate protein, that's awesome. But like you also need some fiber in there to help with like some detox and binding. Adequate water is going to be very important. The other thing that I always tell people that are simple things that you could suggest for people if someone's really not feeling well is like Epsom salt baths. Like get in the bath, sweat it out a bit, put some Epsom salt in there, and that'll help you detox a bit more. Saunas are great. Moving your body just gently, like walking, go for a 20, 30-minute walk. Like sometimes we don't feel good and we're like, I don't want to go walking, but sometimes that gets the flow of your digestion going. Those types of things. And there's of course of like liver detox that people can do, but like even just simple like licorice root tea or marshmallow root or those types of things are how you can just Google like how to detox the liver. Like sometimes those are really helpful if somebody's really dealing with that and it's kind of severe, like not kind of severe, just anybody who's not feeling well, losing weight. You got to go through like hydrating properly, get them in an Epsom salt bath, get them walking a bit more, maybe get on some herbal teas could help kind of clears things out a little bit more, and then make sure that you eat enough fiber. That'll help that like response if we're kind of detoxing or having our liver and gallbladder can't keep up with it. Those things can help. So those are like simple things that most of us can be like, yeah, should try an Epsom salt bath, maybe walk, blah 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 blah, and can be really helpful for people too.
Awesome. Funny thing, right after this Zoom and uploading this, I'm doing a hot Epsom salt bath because I I need a detox. Like I went a little to town on the kids' Easter dinner
Totally.
yesterday, and I haven't been doing that for a while, and I felt like crap last night. I told my wife, I was like, "Hey, if you see me going for cookies or candy, like just stop me. Just remind me of how I feel right now." And then that's on my to-do list today is like I'm getting in a hot, like all the way hot. I'm gonna sweat. I'm gonna be like beet red.
Totally.
I'm gonna detox this. So I love that you
Yep.
shared that because it's like
Yep.
something I do, but I don't talk about it often. So.
Totally.
Hey, well,
Yep.
I'm glad, dude. I always love learning from. I learned so much from you, and we're just grateful to have you here working with us, so that we can help our clients and ourselves get better results. Because the better we feel, the better we can go out with energy and help other people start to feel better. So, thank you
Yep.
so much.
Yeah, absolutely.